Right, Hugh, we're on a road trip to die for, because I think if we've got enough time, we're going to do part one of statues. I've got to ask you first and foremost, have we gone statue mad in this country about people that are worthy of it in a sporting sense?
Yeah, and I think in a good way as well, because I think, why not? Why not sort of remember, our heroes of the past in sort of concrete terms? We know they're going to live on in our memory, in the collective memory. But I think there's just something lovely about, having little sites of almost pilgrimage that you can go and see and acknowledge, and it's all men at the moment as well, isn't it? Acknowledge these men that made the history of this country.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Isn't it great we've got an electric car, because it doesn't make a noise when we're chatting, which is brilliant.
As long as you filled up the meter with 10 pence pieces, we'll be fine.
Don't joke about it, because I have been in a situation, oh there it goes, I have been in a situation before where I'm down to the last 11 miles in this thing, and I'm thinking, where are we going? Are we going to make it? The other thing I was going to say to you is, as we're on this journey, I think we're on our way to mining villages. I'm not going to tell people who we're going to talk about first and foremost, but not only are we on our way to mining villages, but we are going to places like Saltcoats. Now, I don't know about you, Hugh, but we used to go to Saltcoats on our holidays.
Absolutely. Girvan was it was one of the MacDonald family's holiday hotspots. I always remember that. And then when we got really into the money, we used to go to Arran. That's when the MacDonald family was on the rise. We used to go to Arran. But the great thing was going down in these trips down to the water, down to and seeing what we could enjoy. I mean, the great thing about the beaches in those days. And do you ever remember the Woolworths plastic sandals? Did you ever? Were you too late for that?
No, too late for that.
That was the the first sign that holidays were here. Was a run into Woolworths and get the plastic sandals like Crocs nowadays, but of a very inferior quality, I must say. So that was it. So I'm looking forward to going down to Saltcoats. I actually popped in before Saltcoats, and we back up for something to see it, and it was thriving that day. It was a lovely day, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're going to be in the middle of Lanarkshire. We're going to be out in a mining village. We'll be in Saltcoats. We'll also be scouting about some statues in Glasgow that I think most football fans will know exactly where we're going, but it'd be nice to give a wee insight, Hugh. I don't think there's any point in telling the story. Everybody knows the facts about people. I think if we can give a wee insight into the people, our knowledge of them, and our relationship at times, and how we come into contact with them and the impact that they had.
Absolutely, because as I get into the extra time and penalties of my life, I become more aware of how much football has meant to me over my life, and how these people have impacted on my life in a really good way, a really positive way, and not just what they've done on the pitch, which is obviously magnificent, but how you've interacted with them off the pitch, which has been a real honour and a pleasure. Because when you were growing up, the idea of mingling with these, without giving away too many ways, these greats was beyond, it was beyond your imagination.
Well, and with that in mind, I might as well say the first person we're going to, as a kid, Hugh, when he came on the television, without giving his name away, I was absolutely transfixed by him, because not only was he a fabulous manager, but fiercely Scottish, and over and above that, I think the other great thing was when he opened his mouth, everybody listened to what he had to say. Is that fair?
Absolutely, and that's the great thing about these personalities that we're going to in some way honour today, and certainly bring back our remembrances, is that they were distinctive characters, Peter. There were people that once met or once heard, you never really forgot. And the first port of call, I think, is in that aspect is the greatest in many ways, because his voice, his words were so individualistic and memorable that he's become. He still exists as a I think not only as an emblem of football, but certainly as a real symbol of a community and of a working class love of football.
Yeah, can't wait. The only thing missing from this tune, I must apologise, when I went on these big road trips, you had a purvey, you had a sausage roll, you might have had a Tunnock's tea cake, and you might have had a Quenchy cup. I'm sorry, Hugh, I don't know where we're going to get that, but we'll stop off and have a wee coffee.
Well, at one point we can we'll get our coffee, but meanwhile, work beckons.
Yes.
The nicest type of work as well.
Absolutely. This is labour of love, and labour's probably the best word for a first guy. Hugh, I'm not quite sure whether I had a preconception in my head that I was going to get some kind of big museum, but we're in the middle of East Ayrshire, and I never thought I was going to go to a monument to a great, and I'm talking, of course, about the great Bill Shankly.
Yeah, it's a marvellous little, beautiful little site, isn't it? You're sort of walking in it's like walking amongst the ghosts of the past with the wind in our ears here. Very quiet, very moving. We've already walked through and known that there's this small was once a mining village. It's now just a little spot in the middle of the hills. Deserted, no one about except us, but as I say, the ghosts of the past, and that a village, Peter, produced 50 professional footballers.
And the other thing I was going to say to you is this is a pilgrimage for Liverpool fans, maybe even Preston North End as well.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that's very moving about this as we stand here, it has almost the aspect of a very sacred kind of cemetery, Peter, but it's a repository of memories and dreams. And as we look down there, the amounts of little memorabilia have been left here from mostly Liverpool fans, but it's obvious that people have came here and left mementos from members of their family that have passed on, which shows you what this small village has meant to one of the greatest football clubs in the world.
Yeah, let's walk to it. I'll take this microphone because the last thing I want is where there's blame, there's a claim, and you falling over. I mean, it's absolutely picturesque. I mean, that's why I love the country of Scotland. And Bill Shankly himself, fiercely proud of his roots.
Absolutely. And right to be so, because this is where he was formed. This is not only just as a footballer, but where his philosophy of life was formed. You know, the mining village where everybody mucked together, everybody worked together, meant so much that, I mean, there's no secret that him, Mark Busby and Jock, three of the greatest managers of all time, were moulded by the mining communities, and certainly moulded by a form of sort of like sporting socialism. But you can actually see here, it's wonderful isn't it wonderful to stand in the middle of East Ayrshire? Just the two of us, Peter. The birds, the wind, and this is the rock upon which one of the greatest football teams in the world was formed. Because Bill Shankly was not just central to what Liverpool became, he was the foundation stone of that. People forget that Liverpool were a second division team before Shankly came along, and he changed the strip, he changed the philosophy, he changed everything about the club, and now it stands at the pinnacle of the world game.
Well, I have to say, as tributes go, it's in an area that you probably wouldn't expect, Hugh, but seldom in the history of sport can a village the size of Glenbuck have produced so many who reached the pinnacle of achievement in their chosen sport. This monument is dedicated to their memory and to the memory of one man in particular, Bill Shankly, the legend, the genius, the man. Born in Glenbuck, Ayrshire, 2nd of September 1913, and as many a Liverpool fan will tell you, a devastating day on the 29th of September 1981 when he passed away. But it's really a tribute from Liverpool to what he did for that whole area, because he galvanised Liverpool, as you mentioned, as a football club, and the list of achievements is there for all to see.
Well, Liverpool simply wouldn't have been Liverpool FC as we know today without him. It's that dramatic a statement, Peter. It's that easy to say. He changed the whole way the club was going. He laid the foundations of a machine that's obviously has years where it stuttered a little bit, but has always maintained, particularly in Europe, an extraordinary level of success. And I'm just thinking, looking at Bill Shankly, when we walk into this very kind of quiet and humble site, we're already past a point where two Glenbuck players played in the 1901 FA Cup final. It talks about 50 players from this very humble and now deserted and abandoned village played professional football. And see, we were talking about Bill. Isn't it incredible that his brother Bob also managed a team that got to a European Cup semi-final as well?
I mean, it's absolutely...
In Dundee, won the league with Dundee in 60-61. And his brothers all played professional football as well. And you can see here the very sincere tributes that people have left pictures of their loved ones here dotted about. There's a small teddy bear that obviously means so much to somebody or some family. Yeah. It's just a remarkably poignant little memorial, isn't it?
When I was a kid, Hugh, growing up, I mean, I loved Liverpool. Obviously, when Bill Shankly came on the television, his voice, it was a gravel attached to it, and the words echoed from the mining village, from the values, from his ethos, all of that Liverpool benefited from, and obviously the community spirit. But when he was talking about players, and Scotland very much at the heart of the rock that he built Liverpool upon, because he waxed lyrical about St John, he waxed lyrical about Yeats, Big Ron Yeats, that Colossus with that all in red. And then as he built that side, the early side that he put together for the 1965 win in the FA Cup final was magnificent. But as all great managers do, Hugh, he tweaked it, it evolved, and he built another great Liverpool side, with a Keegan and a Toshak in there as well, Ian Callaghan.
It's remarkable, actually, Liverpool's debt to Scotland. The first Liverpool team, way back in the end of the 19th century, Peter, were called the Team of the Macs, because it was all full of people with the same sort of suffix as me, or prefix as me and Mike. And they were Scottish mercenaries. They went down to England to earn a coin, as they do to this day. So Liverpool and Scotland are very, very closely tied. But Shankly was the man that immersed that in history. I mean, I love the Yeats, the great late Yeats line, which when he signed Yeats, he told the press to come and have a walk round his centre half. This huge imposing figure. And the great one about Ian St John, of course, is a great legend in Liverpool, where there's a sign outside an evangelical church which says, Jesus saves, and underneath it was scrawled, and St John scores the rebound.
Yeah.
I mean, just wonderful. And that Scottish connection has continued. I mean, we've now got, it's now ended with Andy Robertson, of course, going to Spurs, but the great Liverpool team of Dalglish, Hansen, Souness, say no more.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a fitting tribute to him here, and as ever, we're going to go round as many statues with that Scottish heritage and what they've contributed to the rich tapestry of football. Shankly himself is immortalised in a statue outside Anfield, where people can actually go there and get their photograph with maybe their grandparents talking about the great man and what he did for the area and what he did for Liverpool coming out, as you mentioned, to the second division. But it's an absolute joy to be here. It's a fitting tribute if you ever get the chance. Not only is the scenery brilliant and the drive around those roads in the countryside, when you get to this, you get a sense of the history, you get a sense of a great man in Bill Shankly. He's just the first on our road trip around many great Scots. This is the tribute here. He has a statue at Liverpool, and the next person we're going on to has equally contributed to the rich tapestry of Scottish football and a Scottish club in an area of Ayrshire. It's amazing the amount of not only great footballers but managers that have all contributed to not only Scottish football but UK football and European football, and they are remembered on the world stage as well. The great Bill Shankly.